Alright, so. Well, good afternoon and evening, everyone. Here we are with a special guest for this episode of Kanar with Damar, since half of the crew had stuff going on. Furball is still on leave. Thoughts by Jay Brown had, if I remember correctly, he had work this weekend, so he couldn't make it. And we still have, of course, myself and Gio made it as well, as you heard the typing.
Yay, third stream already today.
God damn. Well, yeah, technically it's my second today because Veterans Talk went until almost 12 hours ago.
Yeah, almost a 7 hour stream or longer.
7.5.
Jeez.
And for those who are unaware, yes, I will be clipping out the portion with the wild Ross Thatcher sighting that we had and uploading that part as its own video. The entire 7.5 hour epic will remain available on the channel as its own entire piece, so you can see the transition as it happens. But yeah, Tao, I will DM you on Discord a link to the clipped video with Ross Thatcher. Use as you wish. So, with that, we've already started talking. This week, what really jumped out to me a few days ago, one of what I have found to be the more accurate sources for background information on both Star Trek Discovery and the in-progress Star Trek Picard series, released some rather interesting rumors. And generally, if he goes on air with it, the rumors are highly accurate to the point of you can say it is exactly what's been going on.
Yeah, he's like Adore TV just for Star Trek instead of computers.
Yeah. And for all those who are unaware, Overlord DVD, otherwise known as Doomcock, if you're not subscribed and you enjoy this sort of content and commentary about these shows specifically, go over there, subscribe. He does phenomenal work, and release he did 4 days ago, they have already produced enough footage to do a test screening of the new Star Trek Picard series. So, who wants to take a guess what the overall feedback was?
I know. It's shit.
Pretty much. More specifically, it is so close to the same vein that Star Trek Discovery has been done that it is borderline unwatchable. And the reports coming out are even to the point where Amazon and it was either Amazon or Netflix was refusing to pick up the broadcast rights for it.
Oh.
Same thing with Discovery. There are streaming, third-party streaming platforms that are not willing to pay CBS the revenue to be able to show the series, the new series. On Hulu and Netflix, you will find I guess what we can now call classic and traditional Trek, but they're refusing to carry this new take and new style on the franchise. Which really makes you wonder, is CBS ever going to get the fucking message about the quality of the product and how they're mismanaging the IP?
Yeah, they're trying to milk it.
You know, it was...
Yeah, no, but that at some point they will have to understand this. Whether that point is reached is a different question, because it looks like it isn't. Every company that delivers a product that is not as good as its predecessors will only start changing the product or a new product that comes out afterwards according to the will of the consumers, when their financial status is actually in danger, meaning that they expect, or they apparently made a profit with Discovery, and it looks like they are making one with Picard. So as long as it's still bringing in the money, I don't see any reason why they should change it.
But so there have been reports over. I think I first saw the articles about 4 or 5 months ago, where CBS was touting that their subscription count to their CBS All Access, which currently, if you want to watch the entirety of the Star Trek platform, new and old, and the movies, the only way to do so is to be a subscriber of CBS All Access in the US.
I actually don't know how this is handled over here. By the way, this reminds me, I wanted to show you something. Let me just enable my camera for a second.
Yep. Yeah, so...
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Look what I got last Christmas as a present. The fucking 70 DVD complete edition of this of Deep Space Nine.
Nice.
I mean, look at it. Here. It's that fucking thick. That's one half. And it's like full of fucking DVDs.
Jeez, how many episodes per disc?
Let's see. Rules of acquisition, necessarily evil, 3 to 4.
Wow.
So we have 170 in total, divided by 4. That's like 35 DVDs.
Jeez.
I wonder if they also have like the commentaries and everything loaded onto it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they must have the episode-specific commentary loaded onto each disc as well. But now, in that box set so you're looking at about 35 discs just for the episodes and commentary specific to them themselves. Is there also bonus material additional to that's with it?
Yes.
Wow. It makes sense on why that box set is packaged in the way it is. Otherwise,
Well, the thing is, remember, Deep Space Nine didn't yet get a remaster, a high definition remaster, as TOS and TNG did. So there is currently, as far as I'm aware, no Blu-ray release, which would obviously work with either less discs or in a higher quality. So I guess this is just the best they can do with DVDs.
Mm-hmm. Well, so there's a question. Do you think it would be easier to digitally remaster Deep Space Nine and Voyager because of the extensive use of CGI that they did during the original production?
No, because the CGI itself, the space battles and everything, that's actually the smallest part. If I remember correctly, the remaster of TNG cost around $1 million per episode.
Wow.
Whoa.
Which, and I mean, they're both 7 seasons, right? The same as Voyager. So, yeah, I don't think over, like, how much actual airtime in Star Trek is CGI? Maybe between 5 and 10%?
Yes.
Average across the three.
The average
series,
across the entire series.
Oh, across the entire series? Yeah, because when you look at TOS and then when you go to Enterprise.
No, just forget TOS. Let's just say everything that plays in the 24th century.
Oh, yeah. You're still
excluding
looking...
the movies. So I'm talking TNG, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, you're looking at
something
about
between
10%.
5 and 10%, because most of it is just stage work, right? It's dialogue mostly, or actual shots of the bridge.
Yeah, well, and then you have your shorter external expositions, but again, it's still amounting to about 10% of the series. And what I was referring to is, like, even if you go to the entirety of it, if you include TOS, the number would drop, but then you factor in Enterprise, and it balances back out.
Yeah, but Enterprise doesn't need remastering because it's already produced in HD.
Yeah.
Enterprise, you can already... I actually got Enterprise, the complete edition, on Blu-rays.
Yeah, that's right. That was... they started that series towards the tail end of the Blu-ray war, if you want to call it
No.
that, the material war.
No. Enterprise started in 2001 and ended in 2005.
Yeah.
And the Blu-ray standard was, I think, defined in 2003 or 2004, with the first players arriving in 2006. And I think Enterprise was, at the time, also available on HD DVD.
No, there were Blu-ray players before I went to Japan, though, and I went to Japan in 2005.
It's possible. You just find out.
The Blu-ray war was between 06 and 08.
Yeah.
Okay, so the specification was finished on the 19th of February 2002. And the Blu-ray war ended on the 19th of February 2008, when Toshiba announced not to produce any more HD DVDs.
Yeah, and even then, they were late in that capitulation, because when you just look from a consumer base, what was available for the media, it was before 2008, because it was actually while I was in Japan, I stopped seeing HD DVDs on the shelves. It was all Blu-ray or standard DVD.
Back then, I actually sat on the wrong horse. I never bought an HD DVD player, but I thought back then that that HD DVD would take it, for the reason that it was supported by Microsoft, which is actually really fucking important. But what I didn't know at that point was that the PS3 would come with a DVD, would come with a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, I think that's what killed it.
One major factor what killed HD DVD, apart from maybe the porn industry, which also went by Blu-rays. It's something I have heard.
You gotta have that triple porn.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. When you really look at it, when it comes to that sort of a media application, you can even go back to the Betamax VHS competition.
Oh, yes.
I've never seen a Betamax tape. They just don't exist over here.
Yeah, so that was another similar media competition that happened. Oh God, when was that? The 80s?
Yeah.
Betamax. They were both announced, I think, in 1976, and the war lasted until the mid 80s. So, like, I think at 1988 or something, it was over, and VHS had won.
It looked like it started out in 1975. It was released in Japan.
Possible as well, yeah.
Yep.
But the main problem apparently was that Betamax tapes had a smaller runtime, which, at least in the US, made it impossible to actually record an entire football game on Betamax.
I think they said up to a 5-hour runtime at most.
Beta?
That's what it says, capacity up to, but I guess it depends.
Yeah, only with later standards, where the tape was rolled down slower.
Yeah,
in the beginning, it would only hold 90 minutes or so.
Yep, I think you're right. 90 minutes or to 2 hours at most.
Yeah, and then, again, porn industry for the win.
So yeah, I never saw a Betamax player. In Europe, they just don't exist. I mean, they did exist, but nobody bought them.
Decoration.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. You with innovation, you'll inevitably have competitions like that spring up, and it really comes down to the consumer base and also the media generators that are going to be using the platform that ultimately decide it. But anyways, back to the real topic. I do want to give a little bit of praise to the creative team of Picard, because what I've seen in the trailer and some of the images, the revamp of the uniforms isn't terrible. Yeah,
well, let's just say that the set work itself, right? The cinematography and all the clothing and the basically all the stages and everything, those will probably be fucking spectacular.
The creative design has been good.
Yes, exactly. But that's not really the point of a Star Trek series. I mean, it's nice to have, but it's not the main subject. What you need is the good. First of all, the good topics. Like I mean, when you quote the best Star Trek episodes, the ones that are usually quoted as the highest ratings are the ones that contains some sort of a philosophical dilemma, right?
Yeah.
Measure of a Man, for example, In the Pale Moonlight.
Yeah, where they really
That kind of
touch on that, because that, and that's
City on the Edge of Tomorrow. City on the Edge of Forever.
Yep. Well, and that's something that I will hold to the end of the day, where I can appreciate the differences between Star Wars and Star Trek, because they really are two different avenues of science fiction, where, to my read, Star Wars veers more towards science fantasy and is more of your action flick style, whereas Star Trek historically and at its best has been just that touch of action, but more philosophical, more introspective, and addressing, for lack of a better term, the human condition within the environment that it is set.
Yes. Do you remember why so big changes were made between the pilot, the Cage, and the actual TOS series?
Oh, one of the issues was the backlash against a female first officer.
Yeah, there was another one. The critics that saw the pilot thought it was too intellectual for the average audience.
Oh, geez.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not get that read from the Cage.
Yeah, me neither. But back then, apparently, this was a no-go, which is why TOS, if you compare it to the Cage, is a little bit more loose on that end, let's say it that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, TOS definitely was campy, but when you put it in context of the television media that was going on at the time it was being produced, it was still a step above philosophically, but definitely you could see where the studios execs had their plan, or like, yeah, you kind of got to dumb it down for the audience a little bit. And
I still can't get over the fact that they had Gary Lockwood as a guest star. Yeah, like, seriously, everybody remembers him for 2001, but nobody knows he was in Star Trek.
Yeah, and Star Trek in general has had a history of that, where you get those special appearances from actors you don't really think of, and some of them even have had multiple appearances.
Combs.
Oh no, he was a series regular and arguably the best ancillary actor and character actor that they've had.
Okay,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
I know another one. What was the name of the person that played Kanar in TNG? The female Q in Voyager, and one of the Andorians in Enterprise.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I know who you're talking about.
I can recognize the face. Honestly, I'm blanking on the actress's name at the moment.
I can tell it to you in a few seconds. Yep. Her name was Susie Plaxon.
Yep.
She played, Dr. Selah in TNG, the Schizoid Man, Kalea in TNG, a Mystery, a Reunion in Firstborn, the female Q in Voyager, Q in the Grey, and Terra in Ceasefire.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But then you'll have actors who show up like Iggy Pop.
Oh, yes.
Yelgrun.
He was a one of the clones, wasn't he?
Yes,
yep.
He was the one who held Moogie hostage.
Yep. Yeah. Quark's mother hostage. I remember that episode. That was a good one.
Yep. He was that. Vorta. He was also in TNG.
What? No.
Yes.
What episode was that?
Really? Are you sure?
Do you remember the ambassadors who transported aboard and were in pseudostasis?
Yeah, but
he was one of them.
Memory Alpha is saying that's not correct. Memory Alpha is quoting him only as Yelgrun in Magnificent Ferengi.
may not have been credited because again, he was those characters were mass characters, not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's another thing then.
Yeah. Dan Mulder was 3 characters, 2 in TOS, and Pulaski in TNG. Yep.
The one that I still remember. Do you remember? For fuck's sake. Ambassador Vlar in Enterprise Fallen Hero. The Vulcan ambassador that was so easy dealing with humans. The same actress also played Juliana Trainer in TNG's, I think it was called Inheritance.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Basically the ex-wife of Noonien Sung.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
the android.
Yeah, well, and that was an interesting twist, but it was one of those that if you were paying attention, you started to notice it, and that was another thing with Star Trek when it came to details like that. If you're paying attention to the episode, you can pick up on those subtle clues, but if you're only like passively paying attention to the episode initially, not doing a critical view, they do most of the time when they do those sorts of things, they do it well in that whole, we'll drop these little breadcrumbs that you may or may not get, but then once everything's revealed, it clicks, and it's like, aha, I see what you guys did there.
By the way, Jared, I think you're constantly screen sharing me.
Well, it's because you're the one talking.
Maybe.
So watch, if Burns talks, it should switch over.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. Let me think, were there other actors that showed up in multiple series but only had small roles?
Oh yeah, they had I can't remember. The one in Enterprise, I can't remember what the guy's name was. He was with that sect of Vulcans that were embracing emotion and not pushing it away.
Well, the one that I remember played a Water in Deep Space Nine and a Sullivan in Enterprise. Let me think. Was that Kivan?
Kivan, yeah.
Yeah, obviously that was Kivan. He played that guy also played one of the Lemonheads in Enterprise. I think the one with us POV camp, if you remember that one.
Yes, I think you're right.
Oh, and from the same episode, do you remember the Enterprise episode Cogenitor?
Oh, I remember that one.
The main mechanic of the ship played somebody in Deep Space Nine, namely some weapons officer, somebody who died defending that Jem'Hadar ship that had crashed.
Oh yeah, he was a red shirt. Well, in this case, gold, but.
Ooh, here's an interesting question from Jeffrey Sloan. Which futuristic fiction series, in your opinion, is the most plausible for possible future reality? I.e. the technology in Halo versus Star Trek, Cyberpunk, Expanse, etc.
The question is a little bit malformed because those, at least Cyberpunk and Halo/Star Trek, depict different time periods. So you can't really compare Cyberpunk to the other two. But Halo and Star Trek are actually fucking similar.
Similar, and to me, so far, the more plausible and potentially achievable. There are aspects of Star Trek that I'm still questioning, like the transporter technology.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, the power consumption required to even be able to do that, and then the computing power to deal with quantum mechanics at such a level to be able to deconstruct and reconstruct even just basic organic material like in a replicator.
Yeah, basically what you would have to do is you have to scan every single wave function of every single particle in your body and then somehow reconstruct that.
Yeah, what was it they referred? Oh, they had the Heisenberg compensator was in the transporter to deal with that.
Yeah, how is that working exactly?
Oh,
the other as well. It's working well.
It gotta love the technobabble with that sometimes.
Oh, that yeah. I've actually seen scripts that they actually have that that says technobabble in the scripts where they just come up with stuff.
Yeah. So Tao does bring up a good point. Something like the Expanse, potentially more achievable simply because of its relative proximity in the timeline to where we currently are. And also, if you look at it, the technology in the Expanse isn't as extreme as other sci-fi series.
Yeah, they're not using lasers really. They're using mostly ammunition, regular
Projectiles.
ammunition. Yeah, projectiles or torpedoes, and they're dealing with G forces appropriately.
Yeah, also, the entire computer technology in Star Trek is constantly underestimated. I mean, just take a look at the tricorder. James Tiberius Kirk would be fucking jealous to take a look at or to be able to hold a smartphone.
His communicator. Which is interesting. His communicator was an inspiration for cell phones.
Yes. I think it was actually cited by a lawyer in a trial between Samsung and Apple a few years ago regarding on what type of patents you would have to secure to yourself to actually be able to produce a tablet without being able to breach somebody else's patents.
Well, yeah.
They also quoted 2001 in the same trial because it also contained tablets.
Well, yeah, when you look at that idea, what actually intrigued me was it even went back to TOS. TOS had the mobile platforms where, yeah, it pretty much looked like a dressed up notepad with actual paper and pencil, which is actually how they made the prop. But that started the idea of that portable text-based interface device that then progressed to where it is now. The one thing that that started to annoy me as I got older thinking about that, especially the pad technology. If you have this device that is connected to your computer mainframe, why do you need dozens of different pads for all the different reports?
It makes sense.
Good question. I mean, we're at a point in technology where the device that you're using is actually getting less relevant because the data is just stored inside the cloud and accessible from every position on the planet, no matter what device you're fucking using. So they actually using different actual devices for the same stuff makes kind of no sense.
Well, so getting back to like DS9, the first episode with the other augments where Bashir and the four of them come up with the analysis of the war to that point.
Statistical probabilities.
Yep. And Bashir is presenting all their findings to Cisco in his office, and Cisco has like 15 different pads in front of him.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Why do you need so many of them? Like, okay, I could see 3 to 5 maybe, just because just to give multiple things to flip between, but that many? Like, are they really trying to keep that visual of like what we would have nowadays of hard copied reports being handed in?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think what they were trying to go for is some sort of multi-tablet, multi-monitor setup where you would have all the information simultaneously. Obviously, not understanding that for most people this would be unpractical. And second of all, maybe underestimating the storage capacity of those devices.
That's possible, or they're tuned for a certain system only.
Oh yeah.
Well, talking about that, you realize that the holodecks on Enterprise D are still running Windows XP in 2365.
Please tell me you still have that background available to you.
Yeah, obviously. Wait, I'm gonna show it. Give me a second. Just need to find it.
I'm sorry, but your license key has expired. It's got a watermark up on your holodeck program. Your license
There
plate
we
expired.
go. Share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And what's interesting is when you watch that episode, you can tell the difference between the computer overlaid background of it, and it really does just look like they ripped a segment of the Windows 95 background.
95, that's XP, you fucking
Yeah,
uncultured
XP.
swine.
It's both. It just got higher resolution for XP, but the
No, Windows 95 had no background. It just had this green background screen without any picture.
I remember being able to put the landscape on it when I first got it.
You could do it, but it did not come with it by default.
Well, it
Maybe
didn't
the
come with
maybe-
it set as default.
Yeah,
Oh,
no. This picture was specifically bought from the photograph for the promotion of Windows XP.
Oh, wow.
Earlier Windows editions did not contain it. I know that for a fact.
Well, you got to remember, a lot of back then my OSs came from my dad, who had connections to betas with extra features.
Yeah,
I
dude,
do have to remember that.
I was born in Windows 1995 and I grew up in Windows XP. I know that.
no.
Yeah.
No, for me it was DOS and Windows 3.1.
Yeah, I actually when I took the Microsoft certification, that was the last time that
Okay,
they had
okay,
DOS on it.
you know what?
Uh-oh.
I'm
Oh,
one
yeah.
of those. I'm one of those people that actually still has a Windows 95 VM running.
Oh my goodness.
So let's see if I can find it somewhere.
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's see what's in there.
So this is pretty much vanilla 95. The only thing it contains might be some additional drivers.
Oh my goodness, I remember that
Fuck!
start screen.
It doesn't want to start for you.
Wait. I hope I can get this to run. Let's try again. This might only have been the hard drive that needs to spin up. Otherwise, we're just gonna use the 98 version. Because yeah, there we go.
Oh, I remember that start screen.
So you wish
Bling, bling.
just watch the Picard teaser. Not impressive. Not bad, just not impressive.
Yep.
Come on, do something.
But it's still flashing, so it's trying to do something.
Yeah,
Oh,
there we
There we
go.
go.
Goodness.
Fuck.
I remember that thing. Sometimes if it wasn't set, you just hit OK and it just send you through.
There was a way to walk around this. Why is this fucking thing so small?
It's 95.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Exactly.
So this is vanilla 95.
Mm.
Properties. Background. Search.
Oh yeah, you had to go dig for it.
So yeah, by default you only got those patterns.
Mm.
But the picture,
Oh, I remember that thing. That's ugly.
that one, that is Windows XP and higher. Well, only Windows XP actually. So yeah, no.
So. Oh, you
Fuck,
wish
no, I don't want that.
we will get back to that and touch on that in a moment.
Fuck, how do I switch that off? There we go.
How do I use this antiquated piece of software?
Hello,
Yeah.
computer.
You can already you can already wish me good luck reinstalling all those VMs after I buy the new hardware of my PC.
Oh, that's gonna suck.
Oh yeah.
So, back to something that I started to touch on VTW at one point last night, which really does deserve to be mentioned here. With everything that has gone on with the production of Discovery and so far the feedback that's coming out from the new Picard series, I think the linchpin mistake that CBS has made over the last couple years when it comes to the IP is the fact that when Axanar was being funded and initial footage was being released as to whet the palate of the fan base, instead of trying to sue them into oblivion, CBS should have hired them on to run their new series instead of sticking with Kurtzman and the whole mess and cavalcade of dipshittery that they decided to go with. Because when you look at it, all the Prelude to Axanar stuff, it really was targeted at the time period that Discovery was starting out in.
Yep.
And the writing that the team for Axanar actually went with the canon references and some of the extra canon, but stuff that was definitely inspired by commentary made in and around the original TOS IP, which is why it had such appeal, because from that standpoint, it fit in seamlessly right before TOS, and then from TOS into TNG. It would fit in perfectly. Plus, you had people who obviously understood the IP, were passionate about the IP, and hell, they even got actors who were part of the Star Trek franchise elsewhere to be a part of it.
Yep.
Although what I find interesting is that they had J.G. Hertzler switch from being a Klingon to one of the Federation commanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
I like the change of pace. I will give him that. Although what I do find interesting is how they brought on his brother to play the other changeling that tried to get Odo to run away with him.
No, that was you mean Lars?
Lars.
That was Hertzler himself. He
Was,
just used a pseudonym.
No, because he looked taller than
No,
Martok.
no. It was him himself, I'm sure. Oh, for fuck's sake! I think there was just an explosion outside.
Was that his 95 machine blowing up?
Okay, so what I just saw,
Did it
big flash of light outside, maybe 2 degrees in diameter. No sound though.
Possibly a power transformer?
Transformer going?
No, too high. Too high. It was like maybe 10 degrees over the horizon.
Oh.
Interesting.
And I don't think there's any thunderstorms.
Substation, maybe?
No.
No, it still wouldn't have been that high. It still would have been ground-based.
Oh, no. Project Bluebeam.
Let me see if there's some thunderstorms.
That's
no flashes, no lightning strikes reported.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take a look at that.
I wonder why he would use a pseudonym in that.
Yeah, again. Okay, that's not in the sky. That was actually a reflection from the ground somewhere in the clouds. So there's something exploding on the ground.
Oh boy.
But that's far away, maybe at least 10 kilometers. But something's happening.
And of course you don't have your camera handy to plug in to really show.
No, it doesn't look like fireworks because it's only yellow.
Ooh.
Unexploded ordnance going off?
No.
Ball lightning.
Let me take my smartphone, maybe, actually, I have an idea. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna change the microphone, again, to the gaming headset. Can you guys hear me still?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
No.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me now? Seriously.
Yes.
No, it's not working.
Browser hates it when you change input sometimes.
Loudspeaker, microphone. There.
Kitty.
Do you get ball lightning from nylon underpants? Oh, gotta love
Can you
our...
guys hear me now on the
Yes.
other microphone?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Okay, because that means I can go to my balcony and film the entire thing.
Yeah, before we weren't getting change in the audio quality at all. But
Where were we? Star Trek wise.
well, it was one of those.
Okay, yeah, that's a thunderstorm.
Oh.
Interesting. Lightning, the natural lightning like that always fascinated me with how different it would come off, but the yellow tint to it was what kind of threw me off initially.
Yeah, it's weird. It's not looking like standard flashes. It's definitely got some yellow tint, probably behind light clouds or something. I don't know.
So, yeah, cloud to cloud would do that.
Where were we? Yes, so Hertzler. Jared, there we go. Just check it. I'm pretty sure that was him himself and not his brother.
Yeah, I wonder why he would use the alternate name, because on the cast, on the episode itself, when during the credits, it didn't say JG. It was a different name.
Yeah, that's true. He said he used a pseudonym.
I wonder why, if he was already a recurring actor on the show. Because Coombs didn't do that, and he played how many characters?
He did 2 in one episode. Or 2
Okay, I'm switching back to the other mic. Filming Thunderstorm is boring.
Not a thunderstorm, it's the Klingon battle cruiser.
Yeah, that's actually something that's always been interesting, how people, even in universe, people try to say that Starfleet is not a military, and yet, what was the classification of even the original Constitution class Enterprise?
Destroyer, I think, wasn't it?
A cruiser.
I thought heavy cruiser, or was it destroyer class?
It would change between heavy cruiser, or the opposition's description of it is a battle cruiser. Because when you think about it, I mean, the thing was a formidable weapons platform. They just didn't use it in an aggressive fashion unless called upon.
Yeah, not like the Ares.
Yeah, which... Oh, the Defiant, the first ever purpose-built warship.
Against the Borg, yeah.
Yeah, it's... You do get continuity gaps like that in a series that jumps between time periods in its own continuity. And so people want to get butthurt over that, but at the same time, it's like, when was DS9 written? When was Axanar and the furthering of the history of the Federation prior to TOS written?
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes a question of what really is your prime continuity, what is considered the beta canon, and all of that stuff. It really does become a bit of a mess. Yep. It's almost like you need a continuity agent similar to the temporal agents.
You need the paperclip assistant from Word to help you out.
Are you sure you want to write this?
He'll let you know. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong continuity. Go to this one.
Oh God, how much problems would they have had at Discovery? I think they would have broken the frickin' thing.
It would have melted the paperclip.
Hey, Sean. Glad to see you're up and about. Question.
Wait, Sean is here? Hufford?
Yeah, Hufford's in the chat.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
So, S2000 GTS. How come Romulans used Klingon birds of prey? Don't you mean the other way around? Because the original appearance of what became known as the Burrell class bird of prey, as the Klingons used it, it was actually originally written as a Romulan warship. Thus, the green color, the wing-like features underneath. When you look at Klingon ships up to that point, they were not the same type of gray, but a gray outer paint scheme, and it was the Romulans who were known for the extra decoration on the underside of their ships. Thus, you have, when you look at TOS, while the Romulans did share the cruiser platform with the Klingons due to the retconned tech sharing treaty that they had, it was the Romulans who had the initial bird of prey style, which they retconned the prior one green in Enterprise. Not sure why, but probably just to fit in with the Romulan ships after the fact in the TNG era. When you look at the Dodera decks and then the new single wing platform ones that first made an appearance in Nemesis.
Yeah, there was something wrong about the Romulans in Enterprise, though. The fact that T'Pol didn't know that the Romulans and the Vulcans are actually related. That was just either bad or lazy writing.
Well, I think part of it started out when you look at TOS, when you had the visuals, they did the two species almost as opposites, as yin and yang, where they look similar, but temperaments were different.
Yeah.
Romulans were definitely more emotional in their actions and motivations, and more of your politically scheming and surreptitious type of mannerisms, whereas the Vulcans, at least starting in TOS, were portrayed as the super cerebral, logic-based, in control to the point of almost lacking emotion in just about every decision, almost pure rationality in their actions.
That doesn't really answer the question, though.
Well, part of it, what I think spawned it is really tight budget, because when you look at how they dealt with a lot of the alien races that they created all the way back in the beginning, how many of them did they really go crazy with for the costumes?
Yeah, all right.
The Gorn,
Point
I think, at the
taken.
most.
The costume design in TOS was rather...
Sparse?
Well, I guess it was
Yeah.
fine for the time, but retrospectively it was a little bit shitty, yeah.
Yeah, because when you look at it, outside of the Andorians, the Tellarites, and the Gorn, when you look at every other alien species that they came across, you had subtle changes to the human form.
Yeah. Everything was humanoid except for, I think they only had what, a handful that were non-humanoid in the original series.
Even now, you still only you have a small percentage that are non-humanoid. It's a question of to what extent are they modifying the human form to give the appearance of another race.
Yeah.
I can name you 3, maybe 4 non-humanoids right now, but that's pretty much it. In the entirety of Star Trek.
Yep, which the Tholians are one of them.
Yeah.
The Thorian, the Shellyak,
Jeliac, yeah.
too.
Oh,
And
and
that stone monster thingy in TOS.
Yeah, the giant, the blob made of stone.
Oh, oh god, what was its name?
In German it was called Horta, but I guess it's not
Yeah.
the same in English.
Well, and that was the name that I remembered. And
Those living crystals in TNG on the terraformed planet.
oh yes, the
Yeah, I know you're talking about
giant,
that evolved.
giant bags of water.
Yeah, Lisa and Jean didn't have a clue on the Vulcan Romulan connection until later in the series. Yep. It all came down to budget. Yeah. Well, and that's
Yeah, budget.
which is also why on screen during the initial run you only saw a couple other Federation ships, and the other ones that they came across were other Constitution class ships.
I need to address something in the side chat. S2000 GT said in TOS they said that no one had ever seen a Romulan. I think that's correct. And in Enterprise, actually, no human actually saw a Romulan.
Yep. They interacted with them, but there was no visual communication.
Yes, there were, I think, 3 incidents in total. First of all, there was this minefield where they only had audio connections.
Yep. And then there was the drone.
Exactly, which spanned over 2 episodes. Well, 3 in total, but the drone ship was, I think, only shown in 2.
Yep. But, and again, no direct communication.
Yeah.
And...
Well, they did have direct communication because they got warnings from the operators at Romulus that they would kill them if they wouldn't leave their ship.
Audio
but
communication,
again,
no visual.
only audio.
Yeah. Now, so the question there is, what do you postulate as the reason for that? Was it... I doubt it was a lack of technology on the Romulan side. I think it was more an unwillingness, wanting to remain aggressively xenophobic. That's my take on it.
Yeah, kind of. Not necessarily xenophobic. I don't think that the Romulans were xenophobic in that sense. I think they were more like imperialistic.
They were
in the sense of they wouldn't have any fear of showing themselves. Because obviously they integrated the Remans into their society way earlier.
I mean, that's also another question. I'm shocked that I don't know if it's been mentioned. Has the Borg ever assimilated non-humanoid aliens?
The Borg.
Yeah, from Next Generation. Deep
Yeah,
Space
let me
Nine.
think.
Yeah, have they ever mentioned they've ever assimilated a non-humanoid race?
They tried with the Undine, but...
Oh yeah.
But
we knew that failed. Yeah.
yeah, but instead of being able to assimilate them, the tweak that Janeway and the rest of the Voyager crew aided them with ended up just killing the Undine.
Yeah.
I mean, they also tried it with 8472, but obviously it didn't work because of their superior genes.
Yeah, which is why...
Oh god, that sounded so fucking wrong.
Just call it superior biology. Wait a minute, that doesn't help either.
I know.
But
it's just one of those things that you're right. All the aliens seem to be humanoid or semi-humanoid in some cases, or just straight out there. But you never really hear about, like a quadruped or any type.
Well, there was something with 3 arms in the animated series, voiced by James Doohan.
Oh.
Okay. One of the bridge officers had 3 arms. Fuck, what was his name?
And yes, Super Russell, Doc Brown was the Klingon commander in Star Trek 3.
Oh yeah,
True.
Yep,
Okay, I'm looking this up. So let's see. Rules in
you're right.
TAS.
The Undine they were somewhat centaur-like because they had 6 legs.
Okay, found it.
Six limbs, 4 legs, 2 arms.
I thought
Found
they had
it.
6 legs.
The role that James Doohan voiced in TAS was called Lieutenant Arex, Arex, a male Edosian Starfleet officer, 3 arms.
Okay.
So does that still count as humanoid? Looks a little bit like Jar Jar Binks, only less retarded. Well, more like an elongated ET.
Well, I'm trying to remember where the 3rd arm was. Wasn't it coming from the middle of the chest?
Yes.
Was he Zaphod Beeblebrox?
How many other series can we reference? Although, you know what? For 3 armed characters, that definitely is better than the Jaeger that they designed for Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've never seen Pacific Rim. The only reason why I would watch that would be because of Alan McClain.
The first one actually wasn't bad. It was.
You know who Alan McClain is, don't you? You don't. You don't know.
Well,
Remember I've only seen the trailer of Pacific Rim, but the voice of the AI in those biggest robots was performed by the same voice actress who voiced GLaDOS in Portal.
Portal. Oh yeah, I remember that. I think they at first it sounded like GLaDOS at first, and I think they changed it so it didn't sound as much as her. So that they didn't want to reference Portal too much.
No, it's actually the other way around. They specifically tuned her to be like to sound like GLaDOS again.
Oh, okay. I thought they took that away from her. Never mind.
Yeah,
Jared,
really
there's rumors that she's voicing the new AI in Doom Eternal.
Oh, jeez.
That interesting. Which, by the way, the E3 trailer for that, fucking amazing.
Ray tracing confirmed.
Nice. So, we do have a question from You Wished. How different would any Star Trek series have been if they had brought Christopher Lloyd in to play a Romulan
or a Klingon?
The thing is, if you bring Christopher, I'm sorry, Christopher Lloyd, but it's completely unavoidable that if you were a regular in a Star Trek series, you would have to be a fucking time traveler. I'm so sorry, but you would have to.
Yes, he would. And
but this Rasmussen guy in TNG.
Yes.
Why the fuck did they cast Lloyd?
Yes, that would have been the perfect opportunity to bring him in.
Then you have the Doctor Who Star Trek crossover comic books.
Never read them.
I have them.
I've read them tomorrow.
I've read them. It's interesting. It deals with the Cybermen and the Borg.
That is a pairing I could definitely see.
And also, it spanned the original series and the Next Generation.
Well, it just would make sense because you have the show overlap between the two.
Max Headroom, I remember that.
Yeah. Why can't they be as creative as they used to be? Why do they have to keep regurgitating shit in freaking media nowadays?
No, but the one thing I mean, just my opinion, I did like in Star Trek Discovery were some of the non-Terran type races. Who was that? That like, I don't want to call him a fish person, but where the universal translator didn't always work for him because all the pops and whistles he would make. For those who watch Discovery.
Yeah. Well, at this point, I only watched the first season and the first episode of the second season.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Because they're even though it seems like they're trying to redeem it by sending the ship to the future. Sorry, that's just a fucking cop out.
Spoiler alert.
Is it really though?
Yeah, no.
You know
what I would be very interested in seeing a Star Trek series that plays in like the first decade after the first warp flight.
Oh, okay. Right after.
So basically, this entire post World War III, let's rebuild society scenario.
That actually would be a rather interesting time period to explore, especially because you get that jump of 100 years, so you do have a long timeline to play with. However, you're going to be stuck in a relatively small area of space, only really dealing with, well, primarily the Terrans and the Vulcans.
Yep.
And it's not until
Terrans,
the latter
humans.
Well, unless you're in the alternate universe. Unless you're in the alternate universe.
Yeah. Now I'm not talking Terra Prime, those assholes got what they deserved. But when you look at it, so you have the humans, you have the Vulcans, and it's not until almost 50 to 60 years in that you start getting mention of other races joining and doing cooperative work on the medical side of stuff.
Well, yeah, obviously the first ones were the Denobulans.
Yep.
Oh yes, yep, I remember them. Bit nice if they would have expanded on that more, or
Yes, definitely.
them or
The
the
Denobulans would be fucking awesome.
them or the I know they had it in the animated series, the Cadians. I don't know if you they were the ones that kind of look like cat people,
Oh,
or like Kajats from Skyrim.
yeah. Actually, they actually brought that. So here's an interesting thing, and this is where I think in the later run of the original series cast movies, they did a nod towards the animated series in that, because you see one of them on the council, both in Star Trek 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're right. There was one. Yeah, there were one or two there. Yeah.
Yep. And so you have that nod there, and then you have the race being shown, and if I remember right, even being a playable character in Star Trek Online.
The Cadians? I'm not sure. I know you run into them.
Well, yeah, so there's a few of them that show up as NPCs throughout.
Yes.
But if I remember correctly, in the modern Starfleet player types, you can choose it. If I remember, I haven't made a new character in a while, but
Yeah,
I'm about to, because my primary character is a 5-star fleet admiral at the highest level you can get to.
Yeah, without paying for premium or whatever.
Nerd.
What? It only took me about 3 weeks to get the character up to an admiral rank.
How much playtime do you have in STO?
Not that much. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it did not take me that long to get that character progressed that far.
Well, my record for a long time Steam game time is 750 hours. Do you have more in STO?
No.
Okay. So it's not that bad.
No, what I'm saying is how quickly I got that character up that high on, and that was the first character I made in that series on that game. Although I did a little while ago made a character and decided, you know what, they have the TOS option. Let me go with that for Starfleet just to see how it works. I was disappointed. Because the extent of the TOS era is maybe 5 missions, and then your ship sacrifices yourself, and Daniels saves you and majority of your crew, so you become temporal agents in the 25th century.
Oh yeah, I remember doing that. I started that mission.
It really...
Oh, damn it, Daniels. I really didn't like that character.
Had potential, but poor execution.
Should have stayed at Klaatu Nebula. Just saying. And for those who don't know, Galaxy Quest.
Yep.
Love Galaxy Quest.
Now, what is the better legitimate Star Trek spin-off / sequel? Galaxy Quest or the Orville?
Ooh. You can't ask that question. Do you want to see any fist fights?
Well, here's the one thing I liked about the Orville is how many either supporting characters or guest stars were from Star Trek.
Yeah, like for example, Penny Johnson.
Yeah, the Doctor.
Yeah, she was Sisko's second wife.
Oh, they had, what was the one episode they had both of they had the EMH and Phlox both in one episode.
True, right.
What
was the name of the actor that played Phlox? Is that John Billingsley?
Yes.
Yes.
Billingsley, okay.
And Robert Picardo, yeah.
Yeah.
So Question from Super Russell James: is the Orville good? Yes.
Yes.
It's very, the first 4 episodes alone are very TNG-esque.
I think it took them the first season to get their footing.
No. I have to disagree. The first half of the first season was already super fucking awesome.
Oh, okay.
Especially the episode If the Stars Should Appear.
I don't remember which episode.
The one with the generational ship that was drifting towards a black hole and needed to be salvaged.
Yes, that one I remember. That's
Where
been a while.
the inhabitants inside, they had actually forgotten that they were in a starship and started to build sort of religion around the entire thing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, in that...
Oh, and they had... did they have James Cromwell? No. That's not true. Oh, fuck. Who was the original engineer? Liam Neeson. Wasn't it Liam Neeson?
No, I don't
No.
think so.
I think so. The Orville? I'm gonna... Yeah.
No, the doctor, the doctor in the Orville, she was from Deep Space Nine, remember?
Yeah, we've already mentioned that she was Cassidy
Yeah,
Yates.
I'm right. In the episode, If the Stars Should Appear in the Orville, the original engineer of the generational ship was played by Liam Neeson.
Oh, wow. Who would have thunk it?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, how about that?
That came out of fucking nowhere when I saw it for the first time.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you have Seth MacFarlane running it, and keep in mind, Liam Neeson was in A Million Ways to Die in the West, so you don't think that they would have the relationship to bring him on to the Orville?
Yeah, but so was Christopher Lloyd.
Give it time. Knowing Seth MacFarlane, he will bring it in. And hell, they've already touched on a time travel paradox on the Orville.
He has already done it.
Yeah.
In season 5.
Nice.
I seriously have to stop those fucking time travel jokes. They'll get very boring yesterday. For fuck's sake.
Wait, what time is it? I have a hard time with corporeal living.
I'll figure out when to do it yesterday.
But yeah, it overall I will give so far the Picard series one silver star for the arts department. You guys have done good. The rest of the series is as currently presented in the review so far have my doubts growing on the longevity and the potential of this series, to the point where if major streaming platforms are looking at this review material and this test footage and saying, nope, you have a problem, CBS.
But it looks like over here the deal between CBS and Amazon Prime is sealed.
Yeah, so, and Amazon has not looked at the material.
Are you sure?
The terminology used in the reports that I've come across, plus on the Doomcock, was the material was approved, sight unseen.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, that was Rob Lowe was in Orville.
Yeah, the pheromone-laced alien who slept with both characters.
He's got the splooging forehead.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe. Okay, who's next? David Hasselhoff?
Patrick Warburton.
Oh. Yeah, here's the thing. They've already made references to the Hoff.
Oh, yes.
Is he still looking for freedom?
Is he really that popular of a musician in Germany? Or was he?
Unfortunately, yes.
Wow.
The reason is he actually sang at the Berlin Wall. After, I think it was after the reunification.
But, okay, I can understand wanting to give the guy credit for doing that from the political and solidarity standpoint. But the quality of music.
Yeah, if you want to listen to a good reunification song, listen to fucking Winds of Change from the Scorpions.
To me, that makes so much more sense. But it's kind of like he's the German version of Jerry Lewis and the
Who
French.
the fuck is Jerry Lewis? Wait. Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis, French. The French have an obsession with him. Well, slightly older generations, like my generation and older. The French, for some reason, loved Jerry Lewis, who was... Do you remember the crazy German scientist in Animaniacs?
No.
All Animaniacs, there you go.
I remember the German crazy scientist in Dr. Strangelove. I think he was called Dr. Strangelove.
What a coincidence.
Did I ever tell you guys the story where I almost bumped into Henry Kissinger once?
No.
Yeah, he was actually born in the city where I live. And when our local football club ascended into the highest German football league, I actually paid them a visit. And I was in the stadium on the same day. So I saw him.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the chance to talk to him.
Well, look up Dr. Scratch and Sniff.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Jeez.
Dr. Scratch and SCRATCRANSNIFF?
SCARTCHNSNIFF, yes.
Okay, yeah, that guy looks like Dr. Farnsworth.
Again, one character inspiring another and going on. Dr. Scratch and Sniff was making fun of Jerry Lewis, who was the more comedian side of the stage pairing with Dean Martin.
Oh, wait a second, wait. Dean Martin. Seriously, this guy's real name was Dino Crocetti?
Now you know why he used a stage name.
Yeah, okay. Where are we? Star Trek.
Yeah.
Orville. Guest stars.
Definitely. This is what happens when you have a proper creative mind being allowed to do a show justice and do it with proper process to the development of the series. The Orville, when its first season was out and Discovery's first season was out, I gave both of them a fair shake.
The Orville is just so much more Star Trek than Discovery.
Oh my god, yes it is.
And with more action.
It is.
Which is a super weird situation, right? The parody is better than the original.
Yes. And see, this is why I say, CBS, you made a mistake. No, don't try to sue the Axanar production into oblivion. Fucking buy them out and hire the creative crew.
No, because they thought they could do it better.
But we gotta play the politics.
Because their IP was being infringed upon.
No, what it was is their profits were going to be infringed upon because
Uh,
there was far more fan interest in a fan production than the actual IP holder.
true, true.
Which, Axanar got so screwed over. Instead of being able to craft the entire story that they wanted to, they are stuck with only being able to make 2 15-minute episodes.
I know that sucks. So it's almost like a sitcom you're watching.
Actually, at this point, I think there's only one actor that can save Discovery.
A nuclear bomb?
No. Jeff Combs.
Oh.
No, I don't think even he. Well, as a new character or rehash?
As a new character, yeah.
Yeah, because he's already done the Andorians. He's already done Ferengi.
Now, see, this is where
No. He actually defined two species. He defined the Andorians and he defined the water.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
and he enhanced the Ferengi, while the Ferengi was really brought to life the most by the group dynamics that they explored between Quark, Rom, and the Nagus.
Yeah.
I guess you're talking Brunt there, not the guest character in Enterprise, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although it was interesting seeing what was it? The actor who played Neelix as a Ferengi on Enterprise.
Oh,
yeah,
that
was that.
No, that Enterprise Voyager.
There were 4 Ferengi in that episode, if I remember correctly.
He was also
We had Neelix, we had
Neelix-
Jeff Combs,
Neelix,
but we
Combs-
also had one of the Howards.
Yeah, the youngest Howard, if I remember right.
Yeah, who also played a guest role, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, in TOS.
As a
the
child.
Exactly.
Yep.
And also in Discovery as an Orion on Kronos in the last episode of the first season.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yep. He was the guy with that what was it, smoking vapors or whatever.
Yeah.
He was trying to cut off Tilly's box.
I just don't remember his first name.
No, I know who you're talking about.
What,
Yeah,
is it Clint? Clint Howard?
Yes.
sounds right. Yep.
Clint Howard. Yeah. There we go. Born April 20th, 1959, age 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got one of those images you just can't.
Oh,
forget.
yeah. He also played a role in DS9 Past Tense Part 2 called Grady.
Great.
Past Tense Part 2 was the Bell Riots.
Yeah, I was going to say the Bell
I remember
Riots in
that.
the
Yeah,
Sanctuary.
I remember that.
And the official role of the role that he played in Discovery is called Creepy Orion Man.
Well, you can't come
By the
up
way,
with a
when I
name.
first saw that character, I was not sure whether that was Howard or whether that was actually Combs. Because they had modified his eyebrows in such a way that I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah.
And you couldn't see... So Combs has this mole on his upper lip, but it was covered by a mustache in that episode.
Mhm.
And they actually kind of look alike if you cover them like that.
And if I'm not mistaken, Combs also did he did his part in Star Trek Online too as well.
Yes,
He
that's true.
reprised an Andorian, one of his was it descendants?
Possible?
Yeah, one of Shran's descendants in Star Trek Online as an Andorian.
See, now that's where a continuation of the Enterprise series would have been nice to see that further development between the humans, the Andorians, and the Vulcans.
Yeah. So basically, can we agree that Enterprise was robbed of a 5th and a 6th season?
Easily.
Because if you look at it like this, if you had continued 3 more seasons, you would basically have the same scenario as the Deep Space Nine. You get 3 seasons of prequel, then 1 season of Cold War, and then 3 seasons of full-on war. In this case, with the Romulans, which is what would have happened afterwards. The Romulan, the Earth,
it
or
would
the
have
human
been the
Romulan
Romulan
was
War.
usually given a time frame between 2156 and 2161. if I remember correctly. So that would be that exact time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what they were initially planning and trying to lead up to, but then they got cut off at the knees.
Okay. I have to
Yeah.
hate to interrupt, guys, but I do have to leave, unfortunately.
Yep.
But thanks for having me on.
No, and we're actually right around that spot of how long I wanted these shows to run anyways.
Well, in that case, you guys both have a good night, and I hope I can do this again with you.
We'll keep you in mind.
To the person, Chris Kelling, that Ferengi episode on Enterprise was actually not that bad.
Yeah, Enterprise at times gets a bad rap because of some of the things that they do. So, like, if you look at it, yes, there was holodeck technology on an alien ship.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine, isn't it? I see no continuity problems with this one.
To me, it is too, because you don't have it being shown on a Federation ship until TNG. However, that was on a ship. That doesn't mean that the Federation didn't have the technology on a shore facility prior to that. But this is also where Discovery fucks it up.
Yeah, I was about to say this. This entire holographic communications thing in Discovery was just, that was just bad.
Yeah, and that is another technological fuck up on Discovery.
We only got the holographic communicators in the latter half of Deep Space Nine. Prime example was the episode for the uniform, if you remember that one. Where Sisko was communicating with
Eddington.
What was his name? Eddington, thank you. Which led to the bombing of one of the Maquis planets with a poison.
A poison only toxic to humans, not Cardassians.
Yes, they ended up just switching planets, which is kind of a fair deal.
Yeah, that is something that, while some people want to look at how Sisko's actions went against the uniform, at the same time, if you think about it, going in that sort of role where it's like, yes, humans cannot live without environmental suits on that planet. However, the Cardassians will be fine.
Okay, I need to correct S2000 GT on a little thing here. Even though it's true that the holodeck on the Orville was used for porn, that also happened on Voyager once, in the episode Blood Fever.
Oh yeah, as a way to try to deal with the Vulcan crewmates Ponfar.
Yeah, it didn't work, but at least they tried.
It was tried. And again,
and also you were about to make the same fucking joke about Dr. Brahms, right?
Yes. And the way she came across it a few episodes, actually a handful of episodes later, and she just starts ripping into Geordi over. It's like, really? Is that what you really intended this program for?
That is not the first time that happened in TNG, though. There was another incident with Reginald Barclay and the Goddess of Empathy.
Yeah.
Even though that one seemed a little bit more innocent.
That one was, because it was a dressed up character, but at the same time he did tend to include the entire senior staff. So
yeah, I love the fact that Diana Troy was completely fine with Barclay doing that until she saw the copy of herself.
Well, yeah, it was all fine and good until, wait a minute, I'm what? But so, and the other thing with referencing the holodeck on the Orville being used for porn, what was the nature of the holosuites before the Federation got there? Almost exclusively?
Let's ask Quark about that one. Do you actually wasn't the episode which was the first one that had Combs on it about
when he was the alien who became obsessed with Kira?
He was the alien who tried to buy a holo program containing Colonel Kira.
Yep.
Was she a colonel at this point? Yeah. Or was it? No, she was a major at this point, I think.
She was still a major, yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Combs' first character on DS9 was that guy who became obsessed with him. He wanted a program where he could do anything with her. And the resulting program was masterful.
Yeah. Okay, spoiler alarm. Think of Colonel Kira's body, but Quark's head.
Oh, that.
Okay,
that
that's yet another reason to, take a wire brush and a can of gasoline and brush your eyes out.
yeah. It really is. And when you look at DS9, you have those instances throughout the show where you have those moments where they end it and the ending is in that vein and it is fucking hilarious. And if you got a problem with that, I don't know what's wrong with you. But I will say, I will mention this, and it to me it showed a touch of laziness on the production staff's end, in my opinion. Barclay showing up in Voyager. Did you notice something off with his uniform?
Actually, no.
The outer...
But I must say that the 2 or 3 episodes with Barclay and Voyager, they were all great.
They were, but then when you look at the uniform he's wearing, doesn't fit him.
Yeah. Okay,
the outer jacket was like falling off him.
Okay.
He looked
Fine,
fucking
that's
sloppy.
a mistake regarding the construction sets, the clothing in this case. That happens.
Yeah.
But there was no continuity mistake, right? Wrong badges, for example, or anything.
No,
At least
not
as far as I'm aware.
No, not that I'm aware in that, but it was just... It seemed like they used a knockoff instead of an actual production uniform, because keep in mind, at that time, they were still producing the TNG movies and the end of DS9.
Let me think. No, DS9 was over.
But they had just finished DS9, so they still had the uniforms from it.
Yeah, half a year, I think, difference was there. Because I know that Pathfinder, the first episode which contained Barclay and Voyager, was the last episode of Star Trek which was broadcast in the 20th century. So that was a few days before Christmas 1999. Which means that DS9 was over by 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm. Worst thing about DS9, Vic Fontaine.
No. I actually liked Vic more than Dr. Bashir.
But
no. I think the worst thing about Deep Space Nine, there were some episodes in the first 2 seasons that were just flat out boring.
Oh god!
For example, remember the one where
the
Kira had to drive, had to go to that fucking moon of Bajor to evacuate that old guy because the moon was scheduled to be terraformed for, I don't know, mining or something.
Yeah. That one, but one of the ones that stuck out to me is actually one that I every now and then almost torture a friend of mine with. Alamarain, count to 4, Alamarain, then 3 more.
Oh god.
Yeah, see? That was one of those ones that is like, just... Oh.
Okay, Chris Kelling, did DS9 jump the shark, or did they end it at the right time? They ended it perfectly.
I think the timing was right. I think the way they wrapped it up and the way they actually showed that finality and that separation of the crew worked. And this is coming from someone who has been in the military, who has had to deal with that separation of the crew due to transfers. It is exceptionally rare in that sort of environment for a crew to stay together that long.
There's one exception, though. They made one mistake in the last episode of Deep Space Nine, namely the fact that Jake Sisko couldn't say goodbye to his father. That's just my take on it.
That is something that... But I think that they did that from a writing standpoint just to have that little bit of extra pain, to have that... to really fit the motif of the rest of the series up to that point, where nothing was perfect. Nothing. It didn't. It didn't go to plan for what the Prophets wanted. It didn't go to plan for what Cisco wanted. It didn't go to plan for what the Federation wanted. Nothing in that series, when you look at it in totality, went to plan for
That's
any of
correct.
the characters involved. So for having a loose thread like that at the end of the show, to me, was part of what made how they ended it perfect.
Yeah. It was a little sad, though.
It was, but it was meant to be.
I know.
And
It's somehow similar to the end of How I Met Your Mother, in the fact that it was like, for the lack of a better term, bittersweet.
yeah. Yeah. Which
For example, Odo going back to the Great Link, leaving Kira, that felt kind of off. I don't think he would have done that.
I do, because of the cure. While he didn't agree with what his people were doing, he still cared about them as a whole and saw it as a branch and as a potential to say, look, I got cured. I got this information from friends of mine who were solids. We need to stop with this distrust blanket full form, and what better way to do it than come with that olive branch of, you're not gonna die.
Yeah, but didn't he like instantly cure them as soon as he entered the Great Link?
Not instantly. There was a progression that
All
it
right.
did spread.
Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. Well, actually, because he pretty much instantly cured the female changeling.
That was a one-on-one.
Yeah, but as soon as you cure two, shouldn't that be like an
Well,
accelerating?
keep in mind, the female changeling did not go back with him, so it was just him going into the Great Link itself.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Whatever.
Yeah. So, and it was him bringing the further and complete knowledge of the treaty and the end of the end of the war, him bringing the cure like that, and essentially he was put into a position to lead the Great Link and have that influence over it. It's like, see, I tried to tell you fuckers.
That's true.
And
yeah, that would also be an interesting topic to see what happened to the entire, what happened to Deep Space Nine and to the Dominion after the end of the Dominion War.
Yeah, they've tried.
If they ever should decide to do like a mini series of Star Trek, let's say like something like 10 episodes or something. One thing I would like to see would be the rebuilding of Cardassia. Yep. Because I think we both can agree that Garrick especially was one of the most interesting characters of the entire universe.
Yep. And according to the beta canon that has been put forth in STO, he was a prominent figure in the rebuilding, the reconstruction of Cardassia following the end of the war. So it would be interesting to see how someone of his character and his nature dealt with that sort of responsibility.
Yep.
But
okay, what do you think? Should we end it here? Because I'm getting fucking tired.
That's what I was thinking, and I'm also looking at the clock. It's time to go get ready and make some dinner.
Yeah.
So
it's 10 minutes before midnight over here.
Yep. So thank you for showing up. Want to Lord Burns, when you come back and watch this after, again, thank you for showing up and taking place one of the seats, and looking forward to seeing all of you wonderful people next month. And
also me.
Yeah, we should have, well, this is more towards the audience. We should have the full crew back on deck second Saturday of July. Until then,
that is the 10th of July.
Yep.
Okay.
Any parting words, Gil?
Not really. Yeah, if the people designing or writing Star Trek Picard are currently watching, don't fuck this shit up again.
Do better, guys. Really. CBS, learn from your mistakes for once, please. With that, we will see you all later.